All right, y'all, Rob Anderson, Clean Power Wash, Salisbury, Maryland. So I posted a video of all the new equipment that we got. Say hello to 2 of the 3 new power washers that we got. Question was, for people that aren't that far along, what should we be looking for in a power washer? First and foremost with your business, especially when you're new and starting out, you have to figure out how to get the work. That's more important than the equipment to do the work. Because if you have no sales, you just have expensive toys and tools. That being said, now that we're to the level we are, we've decided to go the 8 gallon a minute route. Some guys like to go 5.5, and especially for like truck mounts and stuff, but we prefer 8, and that's what I got right behind me. We've got 2 8 gallon a minute 3500 psi gear drive pumps. We're going to end up moving this shelf up another rung soon. These are gear drive. We'll come around here and show you. So you can still use the same 8 gallon a minute 3500 psi pump with gear or belt. It really does not matter. On a belt system, this whole pressure washer would basically be rotated 90 degrees so that it's going this way with it, and then the pump, and I'll show you one of our belt drives in just a moment. This one has a trap pressure unloader, same as that one. That's the only kind of unloader that we're using right now. You can use a flow unloader. That's just another option. We have our 1-inch hose or 1-inch barb that comes into it. Have our hose clamp, so if we did have any trapped air, we could let it out there. We have our bypass that goes over into the top of the tank. You can hear it filling up. Again, as always, the truck is a hot mess. We've got to get this straightened out and whatnot. And then we have a jumper hose. We're actually going to route the jumper hoses over to the side over here so that we can have them and be able to mount them on the outside. This currently will put another piece of wood on the back to hold the pressure washer right where we want it. I'll show you. There we go. So this is an 8 gallon a minute 3500 psi belt drive. So that's all the only difference is a belt. A belt drive can be more difficult to service, but that belt should last just as long, if not longer, than a gear drive. Both of them, it allows the pump to run at a lower RPM, which is how it's able to suck water, and how it's able to handle, again, the extra flow and everything there. Same thing, trap pressure unloader, coming bypassing back into the tank. We've got our jumper hose right now that we actually put an extra section of rubber garden hose, just split it in half lengthwise, so we can lay that out here and have it not destroy that. And then here is a 8 gallon a minute 2500 psi unit. Same thing, 1-inch inlet. Same thing, trap pressure unloader. They're all pretty much VRT3 unloaders. This has got a Comet TWS 8035 and a TSF 2021. I do have another video I'll be throwing up there that's going to have all of the different equipment that's labeled, so we know which engine, what pump, what if it's gear or belt drive, the serial number, all that information, so that we can better account for and inventory our equipment, know what's going on there. This unit in particular is from Manatee. The other 3 that we just got are also from Manatee, but this is the one where it's the 2500 psi 8 gallons a minute, or 1750 psi, whatever it is. So it's a lower pressure, still a high flow machine. They work well when they're on. The biggest thing we've run into is my guys tend to break this recoil cord. For whatever reason, the configuration on it, it is just a beast to start. It really wants to build up a lot of pressure in it, and we get a lot of resistance, but they get the job done. Cost wise, these are usually between $3,500 to $4,000 from most vendors. This one was more like $2,000 and some change for that. So all these are either gear or belt drive that you've been seeing, and I'll show you this archive of one. This is a direct drive pump. This is most likely, especially if you're new, what you're going to start off with. This is actually a Predator. Again, this has been destroyed over the years. But it's a direct drive pump. This one's a 5.5 gallon a minute, 4,000 PSI. Now, according to Russ, these RKVs are able to suck water even though it's a direct drive, which is often something that people will say on a very regular basis, that you can't do that on a direct drive. It won't draw water. You can't run it off of a buffer tank. We made plenty of other videos proving that wrong. Most times if somebody's having issues on a direct drive pump, not being able to get it to work off of a tank, the issue is your plumbing, not the fact that the pump itself is direct belt or gear drive. Perfectly honest, when we set up the new 8 gallon a minute gear drive, the guys hadn't gotten the air out of the line yet, and therefore could not get the water into it. So that was a problem. Just one other thing on here, this one does not have its unloader on it. We actually quick connect a lot of the unloaders, or at least we'll leave them like the other ones. We'll leave them on there until the first time they fail, and then we'll put quick connects here so we can swap them out quicker, be able to make the whole swap in just a few seconds here. Obviously the overall pump size is much smaller, but 5.5 gallon a minute versus 4 or versus 3 can be a dramatic game changer for you. You can use a bigger surface cleaner, you can clean faster, you can rinse better, you can shoot further. So if you're new, again, figure out how you're gonna get jobs. If you've got only $1,000, you're probably only gonna be able to get up to a 4 gallon a minute machine. If you can spend that extra $1,500, $1,700 total, you can probably get yourself a decent 5.5 gallon a minute. Whether it's direct drive, gear drive, belt drive, whatever. Typically you'll also find that machines that are built with a gear or belt tend to have better components than some of your direct drives, especially like when you go to a big box store. The direct drive pumps tend to be some pretty crappy pumps. Actually, we'll have some fun here. So one of our employees was doing a job a year ago, and the customer's like, hey, I get this power washer, it doesn't really work well, do you want it? And the guy took it. I have no idea why he thought I would have any use for it whatsoever. And if you've been in business for a bit, especially with it being home-based, sometimes you'll end up with a pile of crap looking like that. But this is one of the just junky pumps that you'll have on these. It's also a vertical pump instead of a horizontal. Yeah, you can hear all the stuff sloshing around in there. This thing's never been used by us. It never should have even been brought out in the property, but it was, so we've got it. So I hope that helps you. Again, budget-wise, if you've got 3 to 4 grand, find a way to get enough money to just get an 8. The only other factor that would really come into play in that is water supply in your area. If you're in a fairly urban area and everybody's got consistently really good water flow, 8 or 5.5 is going to be great. If the flow in most of your areas, you're really rural, and we're kind of rural, but if you've got a lot of people running on wells, low flow situation, if you're running a 4 gallon a minute machine early on and you decide, what are we going to upgrade to next, and you've been running out of water at job sites, probably a 5.5 is what you're going to go with. 8's great if you're doing more commercial work.